Hey, you're watching the Juice Consumer Direct podcast. I'm Carson Poppinger, and I'm here today with Patrick Oborn, co-founder of Telarus. And welcome, Patrick.
Hey, thanks so much, Carson, for having me.
We're excited to have you here today. We wanted to talk a little bit about the ambassador program that we have. You have a huge network of partners that you've worked with, business partners through Telarus. It's been the whole business model of Telarus really is sort of customer acquisition and relationship management and onboarding customers and things and companies to get different services and technology. And so I wanted to have you here today and then talk a little bit about, what we're doing with our ambassador program and answer any questions that you might have for
thanks for having me, number one, Carson. But today I kind of want to steal the mic away from you. I want to grab your mic and I want to ask you some questions.
All right.
I'm, as everybody knows, a new board of directors of Squeeze and shareholder. And the reason why I like Squeeze is in my past life, I used to do a lot of lead gen. Telarus, we got our start in lead gen, online lead gen, offline, everything having to do with lead gen. And we built a very successful company on that premise. And so when I met you and the other people on the Squeeze team, it was immediately apparent to me that you guys knew what you're doing. You had some secret sauce and you guys were growing leaps and bounds, doing great things in the field of mortgages and lots of other places. So it's a privilege for me to be here. I see the value that you bring. I know that what you do is not easy. I've succeeded in leads. I've also failed in leads. There's lots of ways to mess this up, I learned. But thankfully, Telarus is growing great. And so Carson, right now, I represent a world, I come from a world that has 1099, people that are entrepreneurs, people that have started their own business, taken risk to become technology advisors. And really the crux of what we do is solving business problems and creating outcomes for clients of all different stripes, but primarily in the world of technology. We help them with their cybersecurity. We help them with their cloud storage. We help them with all their digital infrastructure. But I see that as a great value that is kind of a defensive play, right? Every company has infrastructure. Every company has data. They need to create the data. They need to store the data. They need to protect the data. But one of the things that is paramount in every single company in existence is lead flow. They need customer acquisition. They need new revenue. They need new logos. They need those things. And I see you guys as a great way to feed that in. So just in full disclosure, Squeeze does not have relationships with TSDs like Telarus quite yet. But what I want to make sure advisors know is that Squeeze has a program that enables advisors to go and solve those business problems that relate to lead generation. So I want to ask you some questions about that program so that my people can understand how it is we can work together. And so in a real high level, Carson, tell us a little bit about the ambassador program and what the opportunity to the advisor community looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. And to kind of take a step back too, I'd even talk a little bit about sort of the service that we provide. And you mentioned revenue generation and taking leads and converting them into sales. That's really been one of the things that has made me so excited about our business going back to the very beginning, was that we're always focused on helping companies generate more revenue and sales. And so, yes, we are kind of a BPO of sorts.
Yep.
We don't consider ourselves a BPO because most BPOs are doing customer support and handling those commodity type things where it's
kind of some of the inbound.
Yeah, inbound, I have a question about my account. Right. And then it's real basic. Let me look up and tell you this information. And, in that industry, it's kind of a race to zero for cost, because it's how can we get that cost to as low as point as possible, even outsourcing it? Where can we outsource it to overseas? Things like that. And we've always stayed away from customer support type stuff and always focused on revenue. So the companies that we've really worked with in the industries and verticals are like mortgage companies and insurance companies and home services companies and healthcare and these different verticals where there's a lot of consumers, there's a lot of lead volume data, high volume of lead data, and it's so much, the volumes are so high, it's hard for those companies to effectively work those leads in a systematic way to get the most potential out of those as possible. And so that's really been the crux of Squeeze. We sit between marketing and sales to help increase contact rate and conversion rate on the leads that are being generated. And, we do about 4,000 live transfers and sales appointments a day.
Yeah.
And so it's a very high volume. We're doing a high volume of outbound calls and receiving inbound calls. And it's all about how do we help take that customer who's sort of maybe raise their hand a little bit and turn that into a sales opportunity that a salesperson would be able to speak with and get into the sales funnel. And we do that most heavily in consumer markets with B2C type companies. And so that's really what Squeeze is all about. And you can check our site out online, gosqueeze.com. But to answer your question about the ambassador program, we've had a number of ambassadors. Our oldest ambassador that we've worked with now, referral partner, has been 10 years. And we've worked with this individual for 10 years. And he's made over $1 million in commissions working with our company.
Wow.
And so there's a lot of commission to be paid out on these relationships. And it's just as simple as making an introduction to Squeeze. Like, you're out there in the field, you have a relationship with a particular company, you're helping them with their technology, with their UCAS, their CCAS, but then it goes beyond and it's like, we really are having problems staffing and scaling this particular function, how to talk to consumers in a way where if you're putting a customer support agent on a phone with a potential consumer who wants to explore the possibility of buying your product, you don't want to put them on the phone with a customer support agent. You want to put them on the phone with an agent that's going to be able to have that initial kind of sales type conversation and pique their interest and then make sure they're qualified and then tee it up for a sales agent, whether it's a transfer or an appointment. And that's what we do. So the ambassador program has been really effective. We're expanding it now, and we're really wanting to get hundreds of ambassadors to work with who, we recognize the power of these relationships that your partners have, and we tap into that, and it can be really mutually beneficial for both groups and both parties. So,
yeah. And I think folks from my world haven't really got into this space. A, we lack the knowledge a little bit. It's not really an area we understand that well, but B, we couldn't get paid. And our people, we don't work for free. We want to come in and build a great future for ourselves, for our businesses, for our families. And I love now that you're kind of breaking down that wall, saying, hey, come here, we will pay you. Talk to us. We'll talk about both what it is and how it works. But let's start just with the opportunity. Like, how much can somebody earn by getting in on this side of the house, getting a way or adding the infrastructure into the actual services that human beings and AI are providing for them on the revenue generation side?
Yeah, absolutely. When you're you're talking with the right groups and the right companies, whether it's, mortgage, insurance, healthcare, they may have thousands, tens of thousands of inquiries a day that they're dealing with that need to be talked to and contacted. And, these types of contracts or arrangements could be hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. It could even be $100,000 a week in total revenue. And so the revenues are higher. There's a high agent labor costs. That's a little bit different than like software.
Than technology and licensing and stuff like that, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So we typically, pay out anywhere from, we start our first year of an introduction. You earn 5% on the gross revenue on the account.
So 5% year one.
5% for everything that comes in year one, year two, 3%, and then year three, 1%. And so we have a sunset on it just primarily because of the agent labor cost and the longevity and things like that. So it's a little bit different. And so there's a lot less,
but also, so it's a 3-year program. Mm-hmm. You say gross revenue, that really depends on the number of transfers, right? It's not like technology where you sign a 5-year licensing agreement and you pay every year. Like if you guys generate more activity, you guys get paid more, which means the ambassador gets paid more, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And we're always trying to find ways to grow those accounts too. So you may make an introduction and we have like one project with this company, and then we find ways to expand it. You're going to be paid on that as well. So we're going to continually grow and cultivate that relationship and expand that account, which is going to generate more commissions for you as well. So we just feel like it's good to help foster those relationships. And you may make an introduction on a specific project that's very small, and then we can turn it in and grow it into something very big, and that's going to benefit
Yeah, you can
both
get into
of us.
different departments. You can get into different campaigns that they're running.
Yeah.
Maybe they keep some of it internal and run some of it with you, kind of do an A/B test and realize, hey, Squeeze does a lot better than we do ourselves.
Yeah.
And then there's also seasonality, right? Like Squeeze is great because these companies don't have to staff up and reduce in times of peak demand or seasonality, things like that. Talk to us a little bit about how Squeeze really helps fill those gaps of the elasticity problem.
Yeah, absolutely. So like we were talking with a company last week, and they have a team of 15, sort of outbound agents that they're working with that are handling their data today. And then they have a team of 45 closers who are closing on the other end of that. And they were saying, we're kind of set here. We've got our system and our process and everything like that. And I said, well, what about scaling that? Can you go from 15 agents on the outbound to 50? And, I think at that point, things may break, right? They don't have the management for it or the reporting or the oversight and then know how to scale it up like that. And then you have like the whole hiring and training and managing and all that of those people. And that's really where Squeeze shines. We have systems in place for recruiting and hiring. We're receiving hundreds of applications for agents a week. So we have a huge applicant pool. We pick the best of the best. We can hire 30, 40, 50, even we've hired 100 people in a week before.
And when you hire those people, you put them on dedicated teams that are focused on one particular client. So they're not having to like remember 3 different products or 3 different brands. Like they are one brand and they hammer on that all day long. And every time they get a handoff or a sale, that's really where the transaction takes place, right? So the end customer, he's paying for leads that are coming in. He's not signing up for a monthly contracted amount and you just hope that you hit it. It's not, spray and pray. Like you make sure that their incentive and your incentive are aligned. And so it's completely 100% performance based, correct?
Yeah, that's a great point. And I should have hit on that is that we are performance based and we don't have you mentioned contracts. We don't do like long-term extended contracts. We largely are week to week, month to month with our agreements. And so we want to earn that business week over week and continue to have that client want to work with us and partner with us. And we only bill for the production that we generate. So if we're generating, 200 transfers or sales appointments a day, we're only billing on those 200 appointments that we build for that day. And it's all production based and everything like that. And so we're always focused on, performance and making sure that we deliver the product that the client wants and deserves.
Yeah.
And, you mentioned hiring and staffing. We do keep agents specific to the projects that they're working on. We don't move them around. They get trained on all the vernacular and language that the clients are using. Like maybe they call their sales agents like, gurus, or they call them, loan officers, or they call them loan partners, or they call them, we get into all the nitty gritty of like all that so that it's really white glove and it's very customized to, the company that we're working with so that we're maintaining that client experience that they have. So we're an extension of their team.
Now, when I was introducing you and Squeeze, and one of the reasons why I invested in your company and am now on the board of directors is because you guys have secret sauce. You guys can do this better than companies themselves under their own brand. Talk to us a little bit about, without disclosing too much, what some of those secret sauce advantages that you bring to the market that companies, that sell widgets, like they're never going to develop lead gen juice like you guys have.
Yeah. So, I think it starts with the hiring and the people that we're hiring. We have a great talent base here in Utah and Idaho. We're positioned uniquely within the areas around the universities.
Yes.
So we have a very high,
it's a very unique area.
Percentage of our employees are college students who are studying business and things like that. And so we're putting a great person on the phone to represent your brand and your client's brand. And, they're going to just have a better consumer experience that way.
Yeah.
So it starts there, and then it gets into like the technology that we're using and then how we use the technology, the integrations that we do with that technology. And then, with every client that we work with, they're going to have an operations manager who oversees the entire project. They're going to have an account manager who interfaces with the client that sort of make sure that all the communication, everything flowing both ways is solid. They're going to have a team leaders that are going to be specifically managing the agents on the project. And then you have your agents, of course. And so
talk to us about your virtual agents.
Oh yeah, we have virtual agents that we're developing some AI solutions, and we have an inbound AI agent that we've developed. And so after hours calls today, and we're expanding this into other campaigns and programs. But calls can come inbound, and we can turn that into an appointment just from using an AI agent who can interact with the consumer, represent the brand, and of course we only do this when it's the client's interested in it or wants to pursue that.
But that's all a white label. Yeah. That all follows the Squeeze recipe, correct?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's the way that we train the AI agent, AI language models are all trained using our best practices and our rebuttal and objection handling techniques that we've mastered over the last 15 years. And we couple that with additional training on the company and the product and everything like that.
So dozens of years of real world phone experience are being basically taught into your AI, and that AI can go and multiple companies can leverage that knowledge. And so when companies think, we got to get into AI, or maybe you contract with a company like Squeeze that has already kind of got the AI figured out for you, and then can just insert all that information right into their CRM, right? So they're seeing all of these conversations happening almost in real time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's efficiencies that come with AI, and we recognize that we need to be at the forefront of that and leverage that, so that we can help influence. And like you said, we can use our hundreds of thousands of calls that we have, successful outcomes that we can use to train those models. And that's what gives us a step up above, someone that just has a technology or a platform. They don't have the sales agent know-how that we have. And so we're leveraging that way.
I guess my last question would be this. We probably have a lot of advisors watching going, this sounds really cool. What do I do? You said go to gosqueeze.com, click on the ambassador program to sign up. But talk to us a little bit as we wrap up about just messaging. Like, how do they broach this topic with their existing clients where they may have sold the technology stack? Like, how do they get into these conversations, and what do they say?
Yeah, sure. So let's say, for instance, you're in a company and you're working with their technology group and you're offering cybersecurity solutions and different tools and products like that, or maybe you're offering UCaaS, CCaaS to their technology group. You'd want to be able to have an interface or get introduced to the VP of marketing or the CMO, most likely. Those are
or CRO or somebody in charge of revenue and leads, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's who typically wants to engage with us, is at the top level. And maybe they recognize some gaps with the team that they have handling it within. And then they don't want to replace them. They want to augment or maybe test against or have another option, other than just, what they're currently doing internally.
So number one, they want to make sure they're positioned with either someone in marketing or sales or both, as opposed to pure tech, right?
Right.
Like the IT guy is probably not your right contact for this.
Exactly.
So you may have to ask for an internal handoff first if you're not already dealing with those type of folks. Okay.
Yep. And then you get introduced to those groups, and then generally when you're talking with them, when you're talking with the right group within the company, you want to talk about their return on ad spend that they're getting. The companies that we're working with and have the most success with are spending.
Are you happy with your lead gen? Are you happy with your conversion?
Yeah. Are you happy with your conversion?
Super easy, right?
Yeah, exactly. But they may be spending
9 out of 10 will probably say not so much.
Exactly. Yeah. They always want more, right?
I always want more.
As good as you're doing, you always want to improve. And there's always more meat on the bone, right? Yeah. And that's why we named ourselves Squeeze, was to help squeeze more from the data and from the opportunities that they have. And if a company's spending $500,000, $1 million, maybe several million, some of our clients right now,
much more than their tech spend.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
their marketing spend with some of the clients who we're working with.
It's like pesos and dollars. Yeah. It's completely out of whack.
Yeah, they were going to be increasing their marketing budget this month, one of our partners, and they said we're going to go from $3 million a month to $5.5 million a month.
Wow.
So that's the increase that they're spending
here.
Yeah. And when you're spending $5 million on your lead generation and your advertising, you want to make sure that you get $50 million in sales out of that.
5%, 10%, 15% increase in that could be awesome. Final question. tell us about your ideal customer profile where you guys have the most success.
Yeah, we generally have the most success with companies where they have a large sales team that's inside sales.
How many? Throw some numbers.
100 people, 200 people in an inside sales environment.
It's like a little tiny company, probably not a great fit.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, they want to have a big sales team, and then they're going to have a large lead flow, probably 500 inquiries a day coming in. So 500 live leads potentially coming in daily that they're trying to vet and work with. And then high ticket product, probably anywhere from $500 to $5,000, on a typical product sale that's happening. And it would be, a company that's selling that product themselves. They're not brokering. They're not, a reseller or something like that. They're spending it's their product. They're spending, $1 million a month on advertising, and they want to get the most out of that lead data. And so that conversation is just like that. It's like, hey, you're generating a lot of leads, and your sales team, your sales agents are spending a lot of time listening to voicemails and making outbound calls. Generally, if you're having them do it, there's a job satisfaction issue. There's the C-suite may say, oh yeah, sales team, they'll call the leads when they're not busy. But the sales team's like, man, I've got so much better stuff to do. I'd rather talk to people.
Right.
I want to talk to people. I don't want to be outbound calling. And with answer rates the way
there's
they
so
are.
Much optimization to be had there.
Exactly. And so that's really what we're all about. And so
no, that's great. And then I guess my last question. When you're in these accounts, what does the sales process look like? You guys don't just come in and say, hey, let's just fire your people and hire our people. Like, you guys will come in, explain what it is you're going to do, maybe do an A/B test and say, hey, let's just try with a couple agents.
Yeah.
Let's kind of crawl before we walk. Like, it's a pretty unintrusive process, right? They don't have to swing all their traffic to you on day one.
Exactly. Yeah, we could do an A/B test to start off with and just show them, if you split half the data to us and half to the existing process and team that you have, we can sort of show you how we can increase the contact rate and improve the conversion.
I remember you talking to me about some customers and say, hey, customer X, which everyone would know, is here. Their team has an internal rate of 3% conversion. We came in and got 9.
Yeah.
And that's like 9% still a single digits, but that's triple what their own team was getting. And these are things that CMOs and CROs are like, just chopping at the bit to try to get those kind of increases.
Exactly. Yeah, that's really what we strive for, is to always be outperforming whatever process they're doing today, and then keep that so that we have some benchmarks and we can say, okay, this is where we expect it to be, and we're always going to be trying to find ways to improve that, whether it's by adding technology layers, adding some AI elements, adding additional training, and whatever we can do. We have, that's generally like our bread and butter of what we do, is just figure out ways to optimize and improve every aspect of that sales process. So.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Carson, thanks for having me on the show today. It's been an absolute pleasure to ask you some questions that my people really have about your business. And I, for one, am excited. I got skin in the game now, and I'm sure that the advisors watching this will recognize the opportunity to get out of the tech stack and get into the business of their actual customers. So thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, thanks, Patrick, for being here. It's been great talking to you. I'm excited to meet more of your partners and have conversations and just talk about what we can do together to build things and get some new business going this year. So in a different vertical that you don't have. So thanks so much. You've been watching the Juice Consumer Direct podcast. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Give us a follow. Leave a comment.
Sounds good. GoSqueeze.com. Take care.